Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is 194th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. If you notice, the last battle, 193, was fought approximately 3 years ago. Well, this battle was only fought about 3 weeks ago. So I thought I'd try and add a few older battles now and again, but most of the battles will be quite modern. Okay, the team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member the Terrible Turk, who has bought the Germania faction. I thought we'd just have a look at this army, because I think it's an unusual Germania army. As you can see, he's got the effective against armour axemen. I think he's got about 4 units of them. And then we move on to the infamous Berserkers. As I've said in other battle videos, these guys have got effective against armour maces. They're based on real historic characters that used to go literally berserk in battle, and the specifications of this unit in this game is extremely good. They've got 2 hit points and are extremely aggressive in their attacking specifications, and they can be battle winning troops. But I notice he's only got 1 unit. Remember, in 31k we can have 3 berserker units max, but he's only bought 1 unit there. I also noticed that he's bought a skirmish unit here, a warband skirmishers, which I presume he'll put in front of his main army as a pilot shield unit there. And also I noticed that he's bought I think it's 1 unit of Night Raiders. Remember what we've talked about in other battle videos? These Night Raiders are tough in their own right, but they've also got a fear factor that lowers the morale of enemy troops. So they're always worth bringing, because if you can lower the morale of enemy troops, then they're more susceptible to routing. Now here's the unusual thing for 31k battle. If you notice, he's got, I think, something like 7 units of chosen archers. Now this could be quite unusual in a 31k battle. But I think when you see the factions that we're fighting, you can see what his thinking is behind this particular army. As you can see here, he's got the Gothic cavalry. As I said before in other battle videos, these guys are excellent cavalry, very underrated, but if you look at their specifications, they're really good. So there's the Germania army there. Let's say it's an unusual build, but I think he's done it because of the factions that we're facing. So it'll be interesting to see how this unusual Germania army does. Let's say, I think, including his berserkers, he's only got about 7 infantry units, so it'll be interesting to see exactly how well this army does against who we're up against today. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Schema, who has bought the Rome SBQR faction there. I believe he's bought 4 archer units as well. And then myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought the Scipii faction. So there's our team there. Should be an interesting battle for you to watch. At this stage of the battle, I thought we'd just go back and have another look at Germania, just to have a look at the formation that he's got here. Can you see that he's got 2 Gothic cavalry guarding 1 unit of chosen archers? Can you see that? So presumably what he's done that for is so he can move those as like individual, like little armies, if you like, the archers guarded by the cavalry. Also, can you see he's got another 4 units of chosen archers there that he's moving over towards his teammates, and then his infantry he's moved up there as well. So it's an unusual formation as well, but as I say, I think when you see who we're up against, he's thinking of the factions that we're fighting with his formation and army. And here is the other team. We have OTD Plantagenet Rex, who has bought the Rome Brutii faction. Now, if you notice, if you look at the number of archers that Rex has bought here, I think he's got something like 6 of his archer units here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 archer units. Now, that's unusual. To have 6 Roman archer units bought to the it might actually be 7, it might even be 7 archer units there. It's unusual to bring that many archers to the 31k battlefield. And also, if you notice his infantry, I think he's only got 7 infantry. Yeah, 2, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 infantry. But if we close in a little bit and have a little bit more of a close look at that infantry, you can see the upgrades. Right, if you look at that, those infantry, can you see the banners above the units? 8 upgrades. So that's 2 experience stripes, gold attack and gold defense. Now bearing in mind that urban cohorts are probably the best all-round infantry in the game, to have them nearly maxed out with upgrades makes these infantry incredibly tough and really formidable. So it'll be interesting to see. Okay, he's only got 7 of them, but they are nearly maxed out infantry, so they're going to be difficult to kill. And then I see he's got 6 cavalry units as well. So that's an unusual Brutite army with so many archers for 31k battlefield, but it'll be interesting to see how well that infantry does, bearing in mind that they're only 1 off of being fully upgraded. So that'll be interesting to see that. The next player on their team is somebody that's called himself Sinclair Renault, but in effect that is Scorpion King SR, and he has, as you can see, bought the Pontus faction, and I think he's got 10 pikemen, and if you notice he's bought 4 archers as well. He knows that his pikemen are very susceptible to archer damage, so that's why he's bought archers to kind of give them cover and fire. And then we have the scythed chariots. And these scythe chariots, as you can see, they've got scythes on the wheels, and also they've got spikes on the horses as well. That makes these chariots incredibly formidable, but they do run amok. Remember what we've talked about in other battle videos? If chariots run amok, they kill both friend and foe alike. So it's always kind of a bit of a gamble bringing chariots, but if they work, they can be extremely effective. There you go, another unit of the heavy scythe chariots. And then Scorpion King has bought over at the chariot archers and missile troops. Now these guys, if you can see, no spikes on these chariots, no scythes on these chariots, and they've got 2 archers and the driver, if you like, they're on that, and they can form a Canterbury circle. That means they go round and round in a circle. They're extremely difficult to kill by foot archers, and they can do a heck of a lot of damage. So that Pontus army certainly looks pretty tough to me. I think Scorpion King SR has used his experience in building that particular army. And then their last teammate is RTW player Bubo. As you see, he's in the Greeks clan now, but you'll all know him as Bubo. And his Macedon army consists of the pikemen there, the royal pikemen. And he's got 5 archer units, but I think he has only got 1 cavalry unit, and that's his general unit there. So he's decided to go for more archers and pikemen and just 1 cavalry unit. So be interesting to see how well that army does. And just popping back to Scorpion King's Pontus army there. There's one. He's got 1 heavy cavalry unit, which is the Cappadocian cavalry. And if you notice the banners above them, this unit is fully upgraded. Now these cavalry are tough in their own right, but a fully upgraded cavalry unit can be extremely tough. So there's the enemy team there. Looks a very effective team to me looking at their armies, and it should be a great one for you to watch. Hope you enjoy it. At this very early stage of the battle, you can see that Scorpion King SR is bringing his chariot archers over to the right flank here. If you notice, straight away, can you see that 1 chariot archer unit there is going around in circles, firing arrows at Schemer's archer units there. That is of course called the Canterbury Circle, and as they go around they're kind of firing arrows like a machine gun. Very difficult to kill for foot archers, but they can be extremely effective. And if you look at the casualties on that Schemer's 1 archer unit this end, you can see how devastating that Canterbury Circle, a chariot archer unit, has done. He's done a heck of a lot of casualties to Schemer's archer unit already there. As I say, this is a very early stage of the battle here. We've only just formed up here, and as I say, you can see the Scorpion King SR's chariot archers doing that Canterbury Circle, firing loads of arrows. Right, can you see Schemer's archer unit there? Reduced down to 9 men, now down to 6, and that's the 2 chariot archers that using that Canterbury Circle formation there. Look at the arrows. It's like it's raining arrows into those units. That's how effective these chariot archers can be with their using that Canterbury Circle there. And my guess is that they probably lost hardly any men at all, that Canterbury Circle chariot archer unit, but they've inflicted loads of casualties on our allies' archer unit there. Meanwhile, over to our right here, you can see that the Macedon general, a cavalry general there, he used to try and take out our Germania allies' archer units there. As you can see, Terrible Turks made this army up specifically to fight a pike army here. That's why he's made this army That's why the makeup of his army as it is, because he's got lots of archers there, knowing that the Mastodon units are very susceptible to arrow fire. So that's why he's got so many archers. Right, can you see you've got the Pontus chariot unit and Pontus cavalry over here on the right. And if you notice that Terrible Turk's charged his Gothic cavalry in there, there's another Pontus chariot, heavy chariot charging in too, and bang as that chariot hits. And wisely, if you notice that Terrible Turk is pulling his cavalry away from that chariot battle there. And if you notice that a lot of the German archers are pulling back as well, being chased by the enemy chariots and cavalry here. Let's just pause the game for a second, take stock of exactly what's happening here. So of course with that particular build of Germania, he couldn't really stand and fight the Macedon faction here. There's a close-up of the Pontus chariots there attacking our allies' schemers' cavalry. That's just a close-up there of those scythe chariots there attacking. But as I say, on our right flank here, the Germania army couldn't really stand and face and fight with those pike units. So our right flank here, if you like, is kind of dissolving with it being attacked by the Macedon pikemen. But all the time, those pikemen are suffering big casualties from Terrible Turk's archers there. As you can see, he's moved his Germania army over here towards our armies there, but he's leaving his archers and his cavalry to do as much damage as they can over on the right. Meanwhile, in our centre here, you can see we're not engaged with Pontus, and over on the left flank where I am, you can see that I'm not engaged with the enemy Brutii infantry either at this stage of the battle. So as you can see, most of the action is going on over on our right flank there. New players watching, can you see the dark area on this map? And if you look closely at my cavalry, you'll see that it says they're hiding. So that dark part of the map is what they call long grass. And my cavalry units are hiding in that long grass. The enemy know I've got cavalry, but they're not exactly sure where they are. So sometimes it can be useful to use as an ambush technique. Depends on the situation of the battle. As you can see, that chariot archer unit is still in that Canterbury circle, shooting down our allies' archers there. There's a close-up there. Can you see as they go round, each unit shooting as they go around that circle straight at that our allies' archer unit there, causing massive casualties. Right, let's see what happens next. Let's say over here in the centre and on our left, there's not a lot going on at the moment, quite quiet. I think the enemy are leaving their Macedon teammate there over on our right flank there to kind of attack and press home the advantage they've got on that right flank at the moment. If you notice, the enemy Brutii cavalry are moving over to our right flank at this time. But if you notice, the Macedon, as I say, Macedon only bought one cavalry unit, so like basically our cavalry units have done quite well moving around there on that right flank, attacking softer targets like the archers and things like that, because Macedon didn't have the cavalry to kind of counter our cavalry over there on that right flank. Right, did you notice there that the Pontus, just pause the game for a second. If you notice, that Pontus chariot was just hit by fire arrows from that chosen archer unit, and the fire arrows hitting that unit has now routed it, and it has now run amok. Now remember, if a chariot unit runs amok, it kills both friend and foe alike. Now you see that enemy Brutii cavalry coming over. If that chariot unit gets anywhere near that enemy Brutii cavalry, it'll kill loads of it. So I'm hoping that that my ally will pull away from that amok chariot, and if the Brutii cavalry carry on towards it, well, if they get hit by the chariot, then that might help us out a little bit. But no, I see the chariots pulled away from that enemy Brutii cavalry there. If you notice, Terrible Turk is pulling his Germania cavalry away from that fresh Brutii cavalry that's just come over there. It would surprise me if the Macedon ally gave that cavalry a pike unit to kind of back it up a little bit there. Can you see the Macedon general there is throwing a pike unit in with that Brutii cavalry there, just to give it a bit more, if you like, backbone, strengthen it up a little bit there, as that Brutii cavalry is coming around to right. Let's say, looking at this battle situation at the moment, you can see our right flank is basically folded as the enemy move around there. So at this stage of the battle, it does not look very good for the Brotherhood team there. Right, I'm just going to pause the game here for a second just to show you a little bit of a tactical move there. If you notice that I haven't charged my cavalry over yet, what I want to do is get that Brutio cavalry round behind us as far as I can before I charge, because what I'd like to do is try and trap some of that Brutio cavalry in behind us so that I can hit with my cavalry, and maybe the Germania general, Terrible Turk, could charge his cavalry back in. We'd sandwich a couple of their units there. That's why I haven't charged my cavalry over there. Just try and get them in behind us a little bit. Okay, let's have a general look at the rest of the battle here. As you can see here, I'm moving my infantry over towards the enemy Brutii army there, and I think Schemer's moving his SBQR army towards the Pontus faction there. So we're not actually engaged in combat yet in the centre and the left, but I think we're heading in that direction. As I say here, it'd be interesting to see if this tactic works here, if I can get my cavalry in between the Brutii's escape route, and if the Germania cavalry charging as well, we could sandwich some of that Brutii cavalry. Right, I think he's spotted what's going to happen now, and if you notice, the Brutii general now is pulling back his cavalry units. But if you notice there, we've managed to intercept at least one of his cavalry units there and routed it, and we're going to try and chase them on down. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, the tactic paid off a little bit. We managed to get one of the Brutii cavalry units there between us, and we're routing them. Right, if you notice here, the enemy Macedon general is running his pikes over to our centre here, and what I think they're going to try and do is try and get Schemer's SBQR infantry in a vice, or a hammer and anvil attack, with the Pontus being the anvil and the Macedon infantry being the hammer. So he'll have to be aware of that. If you notice, the Germania army, Terrible Turk, has brought his infantry over a little bit more to our left. But over here on our right, you can see that our cavalry is trying to chase off that enemy Brutii cavalry there. Right, we've routed another enemy Brutii cavalry unit there, so I think out of the 6 that came over, we've managed to take out 2 of those enemy Brutii cavalry. Okay, moving back over to our centre and left here. There you are, you can see Schemer moving in towards the Pontus faction there. And it looks to me like he's going to do an all-out attack on that Pontus faction there. Knowing that Pontus morale is not very good, it looks to me like he's, as I say, he's doing a full-out attack on that Pontus faction there. But he must be aware that that Macedon Pike army is moving towards his rear there. Let's hope he's aware of that, because if he's not, then he's going to have a nasty surprise when those Macedon pikemen move in behind him. You can see his army's putting a massive pressure on that Pontus army there. As I say, he knows the morale's not very good of Pontus, so he's hoping that maybe it might rout some of the units there with the massive attack he's doing. Right, can you see the Macedon pikemen moving closer and closer, but Schemer's spotted this and is now moving his SBQR army back out of that death vice, is what I would have called it there. Right, can you see the Pontus heavy chariot unit charging in, and bang as that chariot unit charges in. That'd be killing a lot of the SBQR army, plus lowering their morale as well. It was, say, frightened by chariots there. If you notice, the SBQR units are frightened by chariots, which lowers their morale and of course makes them more susceptible to routing. Okay, can you see the Pontus faction moving in and the Macedon faction moving in on Schemer? If you've noticed, I've moved my Scipii army forward now. My view there was to engage the enemy Brutii infantry, but now I'm going to send some units over to support my allies against those pikes. Right, let's pause the game for a second. As you can see here, Schemer's pulled his infantry out of that death vice, as I called it, to get away from those pike units that are coming in behind him and the advancing Pontus pike units there. As you can see, we've got the Germania army infantry, the 7 units of Germania infantry out there to our right as well. And right over on our right here, you can see that my cavalry have just taken out what's left of the Macedon archers that's there. So over on our right, our cavalry seems to have taken over a bit over on that right flank there. But what I was going to say to you was, if you were my cavalry here, if you were in charge of this cavalry here, where do you think the best place to put the cavalry would be? What would you do with that cavalry? Would you maybe take it over there in behind the Germania army and try and charge in from that angle? Do you think you might charge into the back of those pikes there? What about taking out this enemy Brutii cavalry? Do you think that's what you would do if you were in charge of my cavalry there? What do you think you would do there if you were in charge of my cavalry? Be interesting to see exactly what happens there. Maybe taking that Brutii cavalry out might be a good option. Let's see what happens. Right, meanwhile over to the infantry scrap over here on the left in the centre. You can see the pike units are slowly moving forward. Like I said before, pike units remind me of steamrollers. They move very slowly, but they go over everything that they kind of come in contact with. So I'm sending some more of my infantry over to try and help against the pikes. If you notice that question I asked you about my Scipii cavalry, if you've noticed, I've taken them on behind the enemy lines. Now, bearing in mind that those 7 units of Brutii archers there are really sending in loads of fire arrows into our troops, lowering our morale. So I think when I was playing this battle, my thoughts were here to take out the enemy archers, get in behind the engaged enemy troops. So if you notice there, as I'm charging my cavalry forward to take out those archers, I'm also attacking the Brutii infantry as well. Can you see how my Scipii infantry are now attacking the Brutii infantry? I'm bringing my cavalry over here, and I think Terrible Turk's got a couple of his cavalry units over, and I think Schemer's got a unit of his cavalry as well. As we're going to try and take out these enemy archers that have been causing us so many problems with their fire arrows, lowering our morale. But also, if you notice, I'm attacking with my Scipii cavalry, as I said earlier, the Brutii infantry. Okay, I'm bringing my cavalry all the way over here now.
Have lost their leader.
I think that was our SBQ, our allies just losing general. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. If you notice here, I've only got 5 cavalry units. One of my units has been routed, and they're getting heavy archer fire on them as well at the moment. But also, if you notice, I'm attacking heavily with my Scipii army into this heavily upgraded Brutii infantry. Remember, they've got 8 upgrades each, those infantry, so they're incredibly difficult to kill. So, as you can see there, that's the general picture there of what's happening here. If you notice at the rear there, you can see it, Terrible Turk with his Germania cavalry, and Schemer with his SBQ cavalry are finishing off that Brutii cavalry that was behind the enemy. Meanwhile, over here on our right, you can see there's a heck of a lot of pike units, enemy pike units left. And as I say, you don't really want to attack them head on, and they seem to be doing quite well. Can you see there's one soldier left in that berserker unit? Can you see it looks like he'd either been killed there, and you can see his banners flashing on and off, but of course berserkers die really quickly if they go in against pikemen, and it looks like that's what's actually happened there. As you can see here, the Germania general's bringing over some of his infantry round to back over to the left flank there, but he looks like he's been intercepted by pike units there. The last thing they want to do is fight pike units head on. But if you notice here, he's got a unit around the flank of that pike unit, so that could probably pay off quite well there. And also that Night Raider unit will be lowering the morale of the enemy troops there. Remember, the Night Raiders have got a fear factor that lowers the morale of the enemy troops. Okay, back over on our left here, you can see that I've got my cavalry out here, very battle damaged, and still getting shot by loads and loads of archers. So I've got to decide what I'm going to do with this cavalry next. Bearing in mind, I've got a couple of well upgraded Brutii infantry units heading towards them, and also I've got a full out attack on that Brutii infantry. Right, okay, I can see an angle here. If you notice the angle from my cavalry, if I can charge in to that Brutii cavalry from this angle, bearing in mind that Brutii cavalry is really deeply engaged with my infantry, I might cause a shock with the impact of that cavalry that might start routing all that Brutii infantry, and bang as that cavalry hits. Notice that Pontus General's bringing his pike units forward, but my cavalry's managed to hit that Brutii infantry before that pike unit can get engaged, and we've managed to rout most of that Brutii infantry there.
The enemy general is slain, and now his men.
Right, now with all that Brutii infantry and probably the archers that were there starting to rout, that's going to lower the morale of all the enemy troops around in that area there. And if you notice, a lot of the Brutii infantry, archers and cavalry have now routed there because of that that impact that's caused routing troops running into their other troops there, lowered their morale, and then they've routed as well. So that that was an interesting little cavalry hit there. Remember, it was like almost like a hammer and anvil attack. My infantry were the anvil, and the cavalry charging in was like the hammer. Okay, what I'm going to try and do now is kill or rout the Pontus general there. As I said before, Pontus morale is not very good, but with a general routed or dead, their morale will lower even more. Okay, let's pause the game to take stock of what's happened. As you can see here on our left and centre, we seem to have done very well here, routed a lot of the enemy units. So we've done quite well here on our left centre, but looking over to our right, you can see a heck of a lot of pike units there. Lots and lots of pike units, and they're always difficult to kill, bearing in mind that all our infantry units now will be battle damaged or battle depleted, whichever way you'd like to say it. And so coming up against pikemen there head on would be a bad move for us. So we'll have to see if they're going to form up into a defensive formation, or whether they're going to come at us and be aggressive with those pikes. We'll just have to wait and see. You can see a lot of the pike units have been depleted as well during the course of the battle. Can you see that one chariot unit attacking our allies' SBQR infantry there? You get a close up there of seeing that chariot unit going in and out of those SBQR infantry. But I think that was only an archer chariot unit that was just alt-attacked there. Right, can you see the enemy pike unit starting to advance towards my Scipii army here? My guess is I'm going to put some of my forward units into Testudo. Do you remember we've always said in other battle videos that's a good defence for Rome, putting your units in Testudo. As the enemy pikemen advance, the Testudo units tend to break up their formation and slow them down. So that's exactly what I want to do at the moment, to let my allies get their armies into position, maybe on the flanks, or maybe even get in behind them if we can. As I said, it wouldn't surprise me if these the pike general put those pike units into a defensive formation. Okay, our Germania allies just lost his general there. So, as we talked about in other battle videos, barbarian factions have not got very good morale, and if their general dies, it lowers their morale even more. As I said, though, going back to these pike units there, as I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they formed up into a defensive formation at this stage of the battle. As you notice, we've got units all round them at the moment. And are attacking from, if you look all round, you can see we're kind of trying to attack from all sides here. I've taken 3 of my units out to the right flank there, and I'm attacking from the right as well. If you notice, my Testudo units at the front there are holding up the enemy attack. But make no mistake, that is some kind of defensive formation there with the pikes facing outwards. Can you see? Very, very effective there. Okay. So new players watching this, you can see we've been confronted by a defensive box of pikes. Looks like a bit like a hedgehog there. How would you go about breaking that defensive box there? What do you think you would do? They say, remember, infantry attacking pikes head on is not really a good idea for Rome if you can help it, but in this situation I don't think there's a lot more we can do. If you notice, we got our Germania ally out to our left there, but just draw your attention to those long Macedon pikes facing them. If the Germania general attacks, those pikes will kill most of that infantry with not much effect done to the Macedon pikemen there. So the Germania army is kind of a bit difficult to know what they're going to do there facing those pikes. Meanwhile over here, as you can see, we're attacking aggressively with our infantry. I think we've thrown all our pilers that we've got left now into that Macedon infantry, so as it stands at the moment, it's an interesting defensive formation. And as I say, new players looking at this, you might not have come up against this before, but how do you think you would break this this hedgehog box, if you like, of pikes? What do you think you would do? Okay, let's see what happens. Right, that's quite a good thing now that the Pontus general has been killed, so the morale will lower of any Pontus units that are left fighting. Right, can you see here on the corner of this defensive box, we've managed to penetrate and rout some of the units. Now what I'm going to try and do is get infantry units in through that little gap as fast as I can. I want to get penetration into that defensive box with my units. Now if you notice there, I've got some battle damaged cavalry. I'm going to charge in. I'm hoping the shock of the cavalry charge will rout those depleted enemy pikemen as that cavalry hits, and bang as that cavalry goes in. Now with the combination of the infantry and cavalry hit there, can you see how it started a mass rout of the Macedon pikemen there? And now our Germania ally is bringing his axemen in and Night Raiders in there as well to finish off the attack on that defensive box there.
The enemy general flees.
And it looks like at this stage of the battle we've managed to go on and win this battle now. But I just thought that was an interesting thing for newer players to RTW to watch there, to see that defensive pike box, and for you to think about how you would have taken that pike box out. It's always it's interesting to work out your tactics when you see something like that, because one day you're going to be in a battle and you're going to come up against something like that, and you might remember this battle, and maybe some of the tactics you saw that we put in there to take that box out you might remember it, and it might help you. Okay, first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. I thought the other team played extremely well. Well done, guys. I thought the attacking, aggressive way you attacked us on that right flank and how you kind of rolled our right flank out, really good there, guys. So really well played to you. And I'd like to say really well played to Schemer and Terrible Turk as well. I thought they played extremely well there. And when you saw that Germania army, it's unusual Germania army. I bet a lot of you were thinking, be interesting to see how well it does. And I think in the end it seemed to do quite good, really. So really well done to, as I said, to Schemer and Terrible Turk. And as I say, well done to Scorpion King SR, well done to Bubo, and well done to OTD Plantagenet Rex. Nice little battle. If you notice, I've got quite high kills, but that's only because we're fighting big units. Both Pontus and Macedon have got 120 man units, so that's the only reason that it looks like I've got good kills. It's just because they've got big units there. If you just have a look at the battle statistics there, you can see my cavalry did extremely good there. They seem to have quite good kills, and even some of the infantry units have got good kills as well. But as I say, it's only because we were facing the big 120 man units that I managed to get those kills. So that's the only reason. Just like to say, if you've enjoyed this battle, and you've enjoyed other Brotherhood battles, please subscribe to our channels. It's always good to get new subscribers. That way you'll be informed automatically when the next battle is ready to watch. So it's always good to be subscribed to the channel. As I say, I'd like to say well done to everybody in the game there. I thought the other team played really well, and well done to Schemer and Terrible Turk. The Spartan Commander saying, hope you enjoyed the battle. Look forward to seeing you soon, and bye for now.